Hey, Star Wars fans. This is Joe Molinaro with the Rule the Galaxy podcast. Reaching out just to do a quick refresher. After we got back from the ICCCon in Nashville, Tennessee, or the ICCC as I called it, it was a great experience for our podcast down there. And we noticed that we were getting quite a few more followers and listeners after that event. So we wanted to check in with you, do a refresher course for you, the new followers, the new listeners, as well as some of the older listeners who have been with us for a while, and just give you a recap of why we're doing this show. I'm here just doing a quick intro before we get into the main show. But as always, you can follow us on Twitter at Rule the Galaxy SW. You can email us at ruletheGalaxySW@gmail.com. You can just follow us on Facebook and YouTube at pretty much just Rule the Galaxy. Also on Etsy, if you go to Etsy.com, you can type in Rule the Galaxy in all caps and no spaces, all caps, no spaces, Rule the Galaxy on Etsy to buy our hats, shirts, sweatshirts, and so on. But wanted to follow up and let you know a little bit about us. Rule the Galaxy started in January of 2020. My son and I, Joey and I, started the podcast. We wanted to rule the galaxy as father and son. And since then, had plenty of changes, but we've got a core group of hosts now. We're mostly based out of the Indianapolis area. We've got my cousin Alfie, my cousin Nick, our good friend Brent Dykman, and one of our newest co-hosts, who actually was a friend of the show, is D-Doc, Dave Dockery from the Philadelphia area. He does a lot of our graphics as well, on top of being on the show. But after getting back from the ICCCon or the ICCC, wanted to catch up because while we were there, we did 4 mini shows, all about 15 minutes. 2 shows were our actual crew, our actual podcast crew, and then the other 2 shows were our podcast members going on to other podcasts and discussing things about Star Wars. So I wanted to give you a rundown on that. In the first show, it is our first show that we did as a group live together and in person. And while it went fairly well, I was kind of messed up on the timing of it because usually our shows go an hour or 2 and we had 15 minutes. So I tried to buzz through a little too much of that very quickly, but we had some great topics. It was me, Brent, Alfie, and Nick. D-Doc couldn't make the trip. He's waiting for the birth of his 3rd child. But the 4 of us talked about the attack of the clones, the Yuzong Bong, the Last Jedi, and Mara Jade. Again, pretty good show. But, we rushed it a little bit, and that was on me, just not having the usual timing down that we usually do. The next show was Brent Dykman, one of our co-hosts here, was on the ECPCTV podcast, and he was talking about fuel usage in The Last Jedi, which was kind of a running joke for the whole weekend while we were down there, just something we always brought up. They were great guys. Then Nick Shesky on our show jumped into another ECPCTV podcast and talked about Attack of the Clones and the love story in that movie. So that was fun. And then we finished off the weekend with doing a second show with the group of 4 of us. And then we added in Flynn Hendrix, who is a wrestler, but who also loves Star Wars. He came onto the show and had a lot of energy. And we talked about Count Dooku and wrestling and a few other topics. It was a lot of fun. And, just wanted to basically let you know what all happened and what you're going to hear in this podcast with this quick intro. So you'll know what you're getting and not know what's, not get hit with something that's boom, new show every 15 minutes. So that'll all be bunched together. You'll have that coming up here in a minute. But as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for being a part of what we do. You can always follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter. Email us, ruletheGalaxySW@gmail.com. YouTube and Facebook, just Rule the Galaxy. And on Etsy, Rule the Galaxy, all caps, one word. I'd like to give a special shout out. Today's May 4th when I'm recording. I took my quick lunch break to give you a recording as an intro. Sorry for its poor quality, but we're doing a live show May the 4th at Comic Book University. care of Yellow Line Productions, which is run by my brother Tony, who was a former co-host, who's now got his own production company. So we're really excited about that. Joey will be a guest host, so you'll get to hear Joey Molinaro on the show. We're going to talk about all kinds of things, especially with it just being May the 4th. But if you're new, thanks for listening. If you're an old-time listener, give us a shout-out on an email, ruletheGalaxySW@gmail.com. Let us know how long you've been listening and what you like about the show. And hopefully we'll just keep growing and getting more listeners. But we really appreciate it. The ICCC or ICCCon in Nashville was great. Listen to these next 4 mini shows. Let us know what you think. And until next week with another full episode, may the Force be with you.
Hey, Star Wars fans. Welcome to the Rule of the Galaxy podcast. We're here at the ICCCon in Nashville. So happy to be here. It's Joe in the pilot seat. Remember, you can always follow us at Rule of the Galaxy SW on Twitter, Rule of the Galaxy pretty much everywhere else. But enough of me. We've got our special co-hosts who are always with us. We got Nick, we've got Alfie, we've got Brent, and we're just going to start into this thing. Guys, we're at a con together for the first time. What's been the biggest thing that you've been a part of or seen or liked at this con so far?
Meeting Timothy Zahn was the big one for me.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really cool. I got to sit on a speeder bike yesterday, which was like a bucket list check of, I didn't know it was on my bucket list, but then I sat on one and I was like, this was on my bucket list.
We
and
got
I
a
didn't
new
know
bucket
it.
list after today.
Understood. You didn't have any other interaction with Timothy Zahn, did you?
You know what? I was going to the bathroom yesterday, and which is a terrible way to start a sentence normally. I was going to the bathroom, and all of a sudden I noticed a gentleman that was going next to me, and I didn't want to look because I didn't want to be awkward. And so instead, I waited and I turned, and I went and I washed my hands. And I was like, holy, that's freaking Timothy Zahn just peeing next to me over there. Cool. I hope he can hear us from his booth out here. And he's like, I'm never coming back in the podcast room ever again.
That's a memory that will never go away. Brent, how about you?
Seriously, it's just meeting the different people. And I also love seeing the cosplayers, the attention to detail that the people put in and how they get their get-ups. There's an Ahsoka Tano that she'd put a year's worth of work into the outfit, but then it takes her about 4 hours to get dressed.
Yeah.
She told us yesterday. So just the love to be able to do that, the love of the character, as well as the recognition that they get from the people when they walk around. Another one that floored me today, I didn't see him yesterday, but there are Jawas that are walking around.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
And they have a voice box or they have a music box. So I walked past one that looked like an adult, so it's like a guy my size. I was like, oh, you're a little big for a Jawa. And then out of the Jawa was the, I was like, that's awesome. Yeah, so it was cool. And then the Utini at the end, and you got to do the Utini.
So basically, we're all enjoying being 12-year-olds together, just out and about in Star Wars, right?
I mean, I think,
yeah.
Isn't that what this whole thing is about? Like Star
It is.
Wars and a toy collecting convention?
It is.
Okay.
It is. And I haven't spent that much. I don't know if you guys have spent a lot of money. I know you probably have spent more than the rest of us.
Just a little bit, and maybe some more today.
Yeah, you've got it.
Maybe a lot today.
Okay. So we had a couple topics we're going to try to squeeze in during our time frame. The first one, and this is near and dear to Nick Shesky's heart, the love story and the total just dumping on Attack of the Clones that people do. Because Attack of the Clones, I mean, that's what true love is, Nick, right?
I've been quoted on here many a time saying that, you talked about being a 12-year-old and running around here. 12-year-old Nick defined love around Anakin and Padme's relationship. You can call it wooden dialogue, but I was sitting there just going like, from the moment I met you all those years ago, like I hung on that. I think it's awesome. And to this day, I'll go toe-to-toe with anybody that wants to say, well, that's a bad movie or wooden dialogue, whatever. I see your hand, and I knew it, and I'm ready for you.
So if that is what true love is, what did you do because you're married when you got 2 kids, what did you do to emulate or to try to recreate that within your courtship of your wife? Did you do anything like that? Stayed away from sand because it gets everywhere. Stayed away from sand.
You mean aside from like gazing longingly and just like weirdly touching arms like that?
I'm kind of weird right now.
That was the first date, right? Just
You mean aside from that?
Yeah. I'm just curious since that's what love is.
No, it's
did
what
you pick
love
up a
was.
pair? Oh, that's
it's what love was, Brent.
Okay.
And then I found out I'm not Hayden Christensen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The person I'm pursuing isn't Natalie Portman and
Okay.
doesn't understand that this is how we do it in the Star Wars universe. So when I say, it's tormenting what's happening inside, they go, swipe. Like, okay, we're gonna find somebody else.
I think I've got a new thing in my head. It's Star Wars light petting. That's what we're going to go with
Why
right now.
am I the one that keeps touching?
You wore the yellow shirt.
I'm on the other
yellow
side of the
shirt.
table here, but
He's too
I'm
far of a
all
reach.
good.
Okay, so we know that Attack of the Clones gets beat up, but let's face it. You get Jango Fett. You get Boba Fett. You get Obi-Wan being basically a detective during the movie. You get to see the clones. This movie, while getting crapped on a lot, it's got so many really good things in it, right?
This moves the story ahead so much in the sense that, think about this. Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, what does he get? He gets emergency powers. People argue that, well, it's dumb how it did it because he manipulated Jar Jar and Jar Jar's easy to manipulate. Who cares? Move the story forward and set up everything that's going to happen. Like, this is like the inception point for everything that's going to happen from here on out. So, like...
But did you need the love story?
Where do Luke and Leia come from if you don't have the love story, right?
I'm loving it.
They didn't adopt them.
The love story is what destroys the galaxy.
That's it.
There we go.
Without the love story, Anakin does not turn into Darth Vader.
Could you have done it differently? Because it seems forced.
He
You
belongs
gotta-
to an order of monks that believe in no attachments and has no love for anything. He has nothing. She is a senator who has devoted her entire life to helping other people other than herself.
He's going verbatim right here.
So, yes, it's terrible dialogue because they are terrible people with dealing with attachments.
Okay.
That's
So they're
part of
terrible
their
with dealing.
life
They're terrible
that
with the
they've
emotional
never
aspect of their
explored
life.
before.
Okay, all right. So we beat up. We've gone over Attack of the Clones. I know we don't have a lot of time. Go
Before
ahead.
we move all the way on, I did see a hand raised up here in the front about Attack of the Clones. Yeah. Would you like to elaborate on the hand raising, or do you want us to just move on?
It's the whole Anakin Skywalker being a complete baby just ruins that movie. Even though everything that you said is true, that movie produces some really good points, but him and how he acts in that movie overshadows all the good to me.
You know what? You're right on that. And you know what? Ben Solo doesn't act that way at all in the prequels. He's a
Sequels.
totally secure, or in the prequels, excuse me.
Sequel.
Yeah.
All right, no. So,
like
so,
it. I like it.
so yeah, we only have 15 minutes. So 3 of us up here grew up with the original trilogy, and here we are talking about the prequels. We're going to go a little post-original trilogy here, and leading into the sequels. Is there any way, guys, that seeing that crushed Luke in The Last Jedi, that we're going to see a reemergence anytime in that 30-year time frame of Miss Mara Jade and having his heart broken that makes him that crumpled up old man?
I will die on the hill that originally he was standing next to her grave. That stone is going to, at some point, become her gravestone that he's standing to at the end of The Force Awakens.
Okay.
You have 20 years in unlimited resources. You're already going that route with The Mandalorian to bring in some storylines from Heir to the Empire. I think she shows up sooner than later.
Okay. Brent, Nick?
Who is she killed by, Alfie?
She was killed by Jason Solo in the books.
In my head canon, it's either Kylo Ren or the Knights of Ren.
I like it.
You're talking about bringing her in and
Bringing her
the
in.
way that they would adapt her into
Yes.
the new timeline. Okay.
Okay. Well, I don't know how much time we have left, but I do feel like Mara Jade is a fan favorite, and bringing her back would bring a whole part of the fandom back in that would wrap things in and make it a nice, neat fit into the sequel trilogy. Let's face it, when you mix the Clone Wars into the prequels, it upgrades that entire session. If you build something like that leading into the sequels, you're going to bring the fans back together with flaws, but still back together. So I'm all for that. And I will say, I didn't mention my favorite thing so far. I also met Timothy Zahn, got a book signed by him, and it was a great thing because years ago he had written me a letter after I wrote him a letter, and my dad threw the letter away. Still heartbroken about it today, but I feel a little bit better that I've got a book signed by Timothy Zahn. Any last comments or thoughts you guys want to hit on while we're up here and we've got time before they cut us off?
We got 6 minutes.
We got 6
We got
minutes?
6 minutes left,
We
Joe.
buzzed through this. Like
So-
we were trying to buzz through this because usually just our introductions are 15 minutes.
Right.
Go. Give me something you want to talk about.
Fuel!
Oh, he's bringing
So if
it
you
back.
Through the galaxy,
Go full circle.
we had one of the ECPC guys call on, and they talked about 45 minutes of fuel usage in Star Wars yesterday to try to kill some time. here in the podcast room at the ICC.
And here's Captain Rex. to
We
tell us
had
all
somebody
about-
come in and talk about fuel usage, so we did about another 30 minutes of fuel usage. The Rex that you just saw come up on stage is very passionate about that topic. I would prefer to find another topic.
Yes, you did
Okay.
hit on that quite a bit yesterday. you were on that. Alfie, how about you? Nick, any more topics that you'd like to hit on outside of the ones we
Okay,
were
if we're
prepared
not going
for?
to talk about fuel usage, why did the First Order blow up the empty base rather than the fleet that was being loaded right in front of them?
It's a good question.
That's my problem with the movie.
So we established yesterday that the fleet of the Resistance was a total of 5 ships. Isn't that because Dakar got blown up and everything that was still on the planet was destroyed before they were able to get off?
Well, what's it matter if
So they would have had a much larger fleet if they would have been able to
blow up the 5 ships that's sitting there? What's it matter if they're still at the base? You can sit there and recharge your cannon, no problem.
Sounds like a plot device to move the movie forward and
Sounds
create
like-
some close calls.
Yeah, really bad military strategy.
Never said that it wasn't great. I mean, it's General Hux's call, right?
Why don't they charge the cannon before they get there?
This is a military that's never been really good at planning.
See, this is leading into my whole problem with the sequels was what was the First Order and what were they trying to do?
They were the embodiment of the Empire.
Yeah,
they were the second coming of the Empire.
Light.
And
I get that.
Whoever created this wanted you to realize that this was the Empire #2 and that we would just go along with where it was at. Did they take a time to set it up and address it? No.
Okay. We're going down these rabbit holes, but let's face it. 2 of the best parts of the entire movie were when we had a dry cleaning press come down and intimidate everyone in the theater, and then also that we had BB-8 and a trash can. Come on, those are standout parts of the movie, right? Wouldn't you agree that those stand
Yeah,
up
that's
there with
pretty
anything
stellar.
else?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my favorite parts anyway.
Can I ask a question about that since we were talking about Mara Jade, however you say
Yeah.
it earlier? I'm curious to you, like with the time frame that we have and looking at, we talked about Jason Solo, who kills her. We talked about all these different things that happen in Legends. You think we ever see a reoccurrence of the Yuzong Vong, or do you think that's like thrown away forever? Let's not talk about that ever again.
So you're going to have to help me out here. I've heard you, I'm going to speak up for anybody who's in the audience and or in our listening audience. You're bringing up something that comes from the books. And as people that listen to our podcast know, I'm not a member of the dark side. I call the people that are really into the books the dark siders. And I'm slowly getting converted to be a dark sider. Right? You guys have slowly pulled me and stretched me to the dark side. But who is this Yuzong Vong that you are speaking of?
From the New Jedi Order books, it was 25 book series. It was really, I enjoyed it quite a bit. It might have had some bad books in the middle, but it was a good series. And I would say the best way to use them, if you're going to, is the post-sequel era with Finn and Rey going up against them instead of another re-embodiment of the Empire. Let's bring in another enemy that's just not Empire Part 3 and make the Yuzong Vong that character.
I mean, when Timothy Zahn was on the podcast, one of the things that he said when he created Thrawn is he wanted to find something that was different from the world. So you have your powerful Vader that empowers by fear. You have the manipulator in Palpatine. So I don't want to do anything like that. I needed to create a different villain, and let's come up with the rules by loyalty. So with that in mind, I think taking that avenue, I think the Yuzong Vong would be another different type of.
And go ahead, Alfie.
I think their best bet for being introduced into canon would be with this continuing story of Thrawn and Ezra when they finally come back from the unknown regions.
So,
it's so easy to assume that this 7th fleet is around Mandalore or whatever, and Thrawn's leading it. But why bring Thrawn back to be the same exact character? I think it'd be more interesting. Ezra and Thrawn have been off in the unknown regions on a Star Destroyer by themselves.
With the space whales.
In the space whales.
Right. The space whales took them.
So when they finally do get found, I think the twist will be that they're actually allies back to try to
100%
bring this
agree.
Mandalorian, Avengers super team together to combat the threat that's coming.
And it makes
could
it
be the
great.
Yuzong.
It makes it a great thing to where Thrawn comes back with Ezra, and people are like, whoa, he's the bad guy, and
Yeah, he's the
Ezra's
bad
like,
guy.
no, we're working together
Right.
now, right? So,
Wow.
So real quick, we've got a few minutes left. Does anybody subscribe to the Rule of the Galaxy podcast? Look at this. Look at
Wow.
this. All right. Brent, you get to pick one of those lucky people. We'll throw them a hat and a shirt with the Rule of the Galaxy logo on it. So raise your hands again.
Who's subscribed?
Okay, we've got subscribers here.
I'm gonna go with the lightsaber, the one holding the lightsaber. I feel like that's gonna be the best
Right on.
the best patron of the Rule of the
We'll meet up
Galaxy.
with you and get you a
Congratulations.
hat and a shirt after we're done up here. Is that cool? Yeah. Okay, good. So, again, it's been our great honor and pleasure to be down here. We drove down from Indy, road tripping it, just a bunch of guys talking Star Wars. We should have filmed in the van of all the topics we were talking about.
We should have filmed last night sitting around outside, still talking about Star Wars. At like
That's right.
10 o'clock last night.
It's been a great honor. It's been a great pleasure to be a part of this. Jim, Michael, they've been such great ambassadors to let us be a part of it. So it's been great to be here. If you're listening, if you're watching, you want to be a part of what we're doing, follow us at Rule the Galaxy SW on Twitter. Pretty much Rule the Galaxy everywhere else. We do a weekly show on Star Wars. These guys are the co-hosts. We might be making some changes and adding some more hosts into us here very soon. And so we just love being a part of this community. Thanks for being here and watching the show. And let's just keep enjoying the con while we're here. Thanks.
ICCCon here with ECP. I'm Matt.
I'm Micah.
And I'm Brent. I'm from Rule of the Galaxy. We're a podcast that was started by a father and son duo. So they wanted to rule the galaxy, but father and son.
Heck yeah. And we're going to talk about something that's really going to make Micah mad.
No, we're not.
So that's why we just popped on here. And it's going to be fuel
Oh, my God.
usage in Star Wars. You think something so simple as fuel in Star Wars wouldn't piss a Star Wars fan off, but since it does, and he's pulling on his shirt, he's already starting to, dribble sweat down the neck. So we're going to jump into this. Micah, sweetheart, honey,
Baby, honey, sugar.
what is your take on fuel usage in Star Wars? Yeah. Julian,
I'm sorry.
don't get distracted.
No, do we have to talk about this?
Yes, we do.
Oh my God.
They want it. We need it.
Okay. No, you don't. You don't need fuel in Star Wars. Sorry, I'm trying to keep it PG.
How else are you going to have the repulsor lifts work? Like, where does
Yeah.
the
I don't know.
power come from for the repulsors?
Power, that's a good idea. Power.
But the power comes from an engine and fuel
Power
drives
couplings. Okay.
engines. Power couplings.
Okay, look. I'm not saying that fuel in Star Wars is not necessary. What I'm saying is you got 5 ships, okay? You got 5 ships.
The entire fleet.
The entire fleet's 5 ships. And they can only track one of them. Why don't y'all just go in 5 separate directions and say, let's meet somewhere else?
If you don't know what he's talking about, we're talking about the chase scene in Last Jedi.
The most worthless scene in Star Wars history.
It's the most... Yeah,
No,
I think it's one of the greatest scenes
Oh my
in
God, I'm
Star
gonna
Wars
stab you.
history. Along with Last
Exhibit A,
Jedi
the murder
being
weapon
one of
in
the...
Micah's court case.
I would like to have some justification for it being the greatest.
Oh my God.
Only because it gets
No,
this.
I know he's doing it
from
because
the-
he's like
Because...
button,
all right,
Micah button.
let's get into... Let's talk about why it's the greatest scene in all of Star Wars. No, it's not the greatest scene, but it's an amazing... Oh,
we're
okay,
out.
we're going to cut.
Have a good
We'll
day.
be right back.
Okay.
Oh,
No.
sorry.
No, it's all good. All good.
Okay, are we cut though? Are we still going?
Oh, we're
Sorry.
still live, okay.
No, we're still live. Well, we
Brent,
just had
come
a
back
little
on here.
hiccup.
Hi guys.
I got anger. I need to take it out on
Just
someone.
disappeared for a second. It's all right.
All right, but see, okay, in that scene, if we didn't have that, then we wouldn't see characters step up into who they need to be. Kind of like Poe Dameron. Like Poe Dameron had to get past his little, what I like to call Anakin phase. I'm Poe Dameron. I'm the leader. I should do this and that. And, Princess Leia is out and we're not going to listen to anybody else. There is a leadership that is forming because
okay.
Princess Leia is
Okay.
not, in there.
It also allowed the Holdo maneuver to take place.
Oh my God! Don't.
Don't even get me started on.
Well, or somebody
on
else
the
to take
hold
that
on
void,
maneuver.
right?
Yeah.
So you allowed.
Why don't we just do a couple hold on maneuvers? That worked last time, eh? Oh, did you guys know it was in Lord of the Rings too?
He just drifted slowly to the left.
as well. He was also he's a
Charlie.
He's a J.J. Abrams guy.
Charlie.
All right, but think of it from a movie perspective.
I-
If
yeah.
they didn't run out of fuel, it wouldn't
I
be a
know, but
dramatic.
it's just a cop out, man. You
It's a
could have
plot
done a
device.
whole better. You could have done something else.
Give me something else.
I'm not a writer. Thank God they don't pay me to do that.
So here's where I'm going to go with it, and I'm going
All
to
right.
take it and hopefully change it in a different direction. It's a plot device to get the story to go through and go.
yeah, to
And
get us
give it
to,
to build some drama, to build something.
yeah, we get to go to
Another-
Canto Bite. Yay!
Another plot device that is in the Star Wars world that I am not a fan of is the world between worlds. And I feel like that is an overused, just so the world between worlds and your love of the fuel in Star Wars are basically one and the same for me. I feel like they're just empty devices to try to build drama.
Plot device, Mr. Frodo. Yeah, I don't like I said. I don't say fuel in Star Wars is bad. I say the way they used fuel in Star Wars was. I wish I had one of those buttons that went beep 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 beep. It's just it's useless and it's bad writing.
I don't think it's useless or bad writing. I think they could have done it a little differently. But
Okay, I'll give you another one. You ready? And
Yeah.
I'm just this is off the top of my head right here. So they all go 5 directions. We say, hey, we're gonna meet on Crate. Say they already knew about Crate, that it wasn't this mystery rebel planet that just came out of nowhere. Thank God that we're heading that way with the only gas station not there. That they're like, we're gonna go in separate directions and then we're all gonna meet on Crate. That still could happen, and the miraculous First Order that just got Hodo maneuvered and their stuff is all out of whack can suddenly drop a bunch of AT-AT and guerrilla AT-ATs on the ground with no problem. That's all can still happen, though.
But this is assuming that they know that their ship is being tracked. They didn't know until halfway through their trip. Oh, things have to change now.
Yeah, but they knew that before one of the ships ran out of fuel.
Okay, but they were already in space. Like you said, there's no gas station that they could pull up to.
They could just go 5 separate ways.
And risk their...
Risk what? They can only track one ship.
That is your rebellion right there. That is all that's left right there.
Rebellions are built on hope.
Yes, after that, it started to rebuild. But in that moment, that is all
Just
that
ask
there
Lando
is.
Calrissian in Rise of Skywalker when he brought, 50 billion spaceships to a planet that no one could get to until, I'm just saying.
Because they had the Wayfinder.
Yeah,
They had
thank
the
God for that.
Wayfinder.
Ray showed them the way.
Once one person gets it, it's like Google Maps. You just send it out as text message.
She put out Luke's beacon. Red 5 was sending out his beacon and showed them the way
Showed
through.
them the way. This is the way.
I think this is just bitterness coming out right now because of
Comes-
fuel. Fuel is well established in the original trilogy when all the X-wings are gearing up on Hoth or not X-wings. all the
Again, I have nothing against the fuel
snowspeeders.
of Star Wars. It's the way that they tried to use the fuel in Last Jedi. Let's get back on the point here. I don't hate fuel. I need gas in my car too.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So starships don't run out of fuel?
No, but they all have one jump up to hyperspace. They made that perfectly clear. We only have one jump, so we don't jump. We just keep running out of fuel. So you just say, hey, everyone pick a planet that we know is, to us, okay, that we know. I mean, come on, you're the rebellion. You have at least one planet that is okay, or at least 5, and you say everyone jump to each planet. And then we'll meet at the rendezvous point, like we did in Empire Strikes Back. We'll meet at the rendezvous point. Jump, get some gas, and we'll meet at the rendezvous point. And then you could, then it's all moot, and you can do another plot line that, oh, hey, little bug. That makes sense. That's what I'm saying, is I don't need 45 minutes of we're running out of gas. What do we do next? Please tell me Leia's
That's
dead.
like
What do
an
we do?
oversimplification.
I
of
know,
the
but
moment.
Star Wars is simple. Star Wars isn't complicated.
All right, if we didn't have that, then we wouldn't have gotten our first scene of Leia's true powers that we've always wanted.
Are you talking about Mary Poppins Leia?
Mary Poppins Leia.
Okay.
Oh, come on. I hear, let's bring it. This isn't a
I'm actually okay with that because Ryan took that from a book. That is in a book. Luke does that himself. He puts him in it's a force bubble, force trance, kind of. The force keeps you alive. That's actually in a book.
You might not have.
Yes.
People
correct.
might not have liked it. They could have done a better way of presenting her powers. But in that moment, you dropped your jaw.
Okay, but I'm gonna. Okay, when it comes to this, hold on. I have one thing. When it comes to this, no. Seriously though, this is a serious thing. Would you have felt that way if you didn't know she died in real life?
My thing was in that moment. I thought
this is
the greatest way to send her out.
Yeah.
Like I thought this, and then
a lot of fans did.
And then all of a sudden, she starts floating back to the
right.
ship.
And a lot of fans did. She died like 3 months before the movie was to be released.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot rewrite an entire film in 3 months. I'm sorry. So I think
a Star Wars
right,
film,
or a Star Wars film. So I think they just kind of had to go with it, and fans were like, "She's dead.
Right.
This was a good way to kill her.
Yes.
This is a good way to get that her son didn't want to do it, and that some random TIE fighter pilot." Yeah, it sounds kind of dumb. You're like, oh, some random TIE fighter pilot kills Leia. No, the regret of her son kills Leia. In that scene, if you would have played it out that way, I know she's there. I can't kill my mom. And then some random dude does it, and he shoots the dude who kills her. I don't know if you see that in the movie. He shoots down the TIE fighter that kills her. That's regret. That would have been a way better scene than she comes back, but she died. And so everyone was like, she's dead. What are you going to do? Like this was a good way to kill off Leia, and you kind of ruined it. It's
See, and I agree and disagree. See, in that moment, because I thought that's where it was going, because they just killed Leia, but then you see her use the Force, and then she goes into that coma or whatever. I was like, that's where they're going to kill her. All right, we finally got a movie where we see her powers, and now they're going to let her go off like a Jedi. I was like, that's how it should have been done. Not just shoot her. I'm like, that would have pissed me off more is if they just the son, that's character development for Kylo Ren.
Yeah, that's regret.
Yeah, but if they had just shot her part of the ship and they just left it at that because, she passed away in real life, man, that would have pissed me off more because she's Princess Leia and she's our princess. And I just feel like the way they did it in Rise of Skywalker, letting her go out on her own terms, and she disappeared like a Jedi. They kind of gave her the Jedi treatment, even though they had to squeeze it in to Rise of Skywalker, because they even put in Jedi training with Luke, and she won. They gave her the princess treatment that she deserved.
And I think JJ was able to take a tragedy and turn it into something the best he could.
Yeah.
He went, I have footage that thank God I didn't use, that I didn't release on a Blu-ray, and that he's like, I can make this happen. And we should thank him for that.
Yeah.
But when I'm saying there is watching that part in the movie, if she would have not died, everyone would have been like, oh my God, what are you doing for Leia? What?
Yeah.
And the Force thing would have been more accepted than she's dead. Oh, this is how you're going to kill her. I feel that way with the scene is that we as fans, it's like when Chadwick died, when Chadwick Boseman died. You're like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I mean, Black Panther was just getting started. He was just getting his story was just becoming amazing, and then an amazing actor dies, and you're just like, Marvel's literally like, okay, well, what we're gonna go powwow for a year, and then we'll come back to. So, they had 3 months.
Yeah,
and I just feel like if she didn't die, that scene would have meant more to fans than it does now. Then you should have just killed her there. Now, I love with her character in Rise of Skywalker that she gives the medal to Maz Kanata to give to Chewie. Was one of the greatest moments she did in giving Han's medal to Maz. I would have loved to have seen a body double do that, and some kind of Han wanted to have her do it before she dies. But I understand Chewie, Chewie's gone and all that. And
They definitely, he definitely got to tie some loose end questions.
he did.
That
He
we've
got
always
some good
had.
stuff, and I got to give him props for what he had to deal with, and what he had. Excuse me, what he had to work with. He did the best he could, and I think he did what he could. But like I say, with that, yeah,
There's a lot.
There's a lot.
There's a lot in the Rise of Skywalker.
Yes.
A lot of those
But
loose ends. And
But
stuff.
with that scene in Last Jedi, I think as fans we would have felt different
Yeah.
if Carrie was not dead.
I think that's. I mean, I agree with. I never thought of it that way. That's why I thought, instantly,
Right.
I was like, this is a great way for her to go out
Right.
like this.
And then when she didn't die, you're like, what?
Why? Right,
What
but-
are you doing?
If she was still alive, I would
Yeah.
have probably a completely different reaction to that. You're right.
Oh, I mean, because the story of Rise of Skywalker was 100% different. I don't know if any of y'all have read the leak stuff from Colin.
The Trevorrow script.
Yeah, the Trevorrow script. That was going to be all that stuff that happens with Rey at the end of the movie was Leia. They wanted to give Leia her huge Jedi moment. And when she died, they like her family even came out and said she was to be a big part of Rise of Skywalker. Like you were going to see the Jedi Leia. Like it's like when you saw Rogue One and you heard the breathing of Darth Vader and you watched that one scene, you went, "Oh, that's Darth Vader."
Yeah.
And that's the moment you would have got. Same thing in Mandalorian. When you saw Luke, spoilers if you haven't seen Mandalorian, you are way behind.
If you haven't seen it yet, I'm ashamed of you.
then you need to get out of this place because there's going to be a lot of that. It's like when you saw that moment with Luke, when he's fighting all the dark troopers, you're like, Luke.
Mm-hmm.
You never got that with Leia. You never got that moment with Leia. And they were going to give you that moment with Leia. But again, she died, so they had to pivot very hard.
So, what was the Han, right? So you're talking about that moment with Han, like with the other legacy characters. So what do you see?
and I think
in
they
the
went-
trilogy. Where do you think that because
I think
was it on the bridge with Kylo?
Han going to Kylo, knowing he was going to die, was completely out of character for Han because Han is a selfish person, loving, but very selfish. He did everything for himself, and in that moment, I think he knew when he was going to go to him, he was going to die.
Mm-hmm.
But he had to embrace his son because his son, Princess Leia, and everything else was stuff he was running away from, so he could be Han Solo.
Correct.
And that was like his character.
And I think-
like
So
it
that
had to
was
go.
his-
And I
that
think-
was his moment. It
Right.
was
And
in a
I think
different
at
way.
that last moment, he knew what he was doing was for Leia.
Mm-hmm.
He-
I think
Yeah,
that
I
it
agree.
just
I think that's why he went to go because obviously they had that face-to-face interaction before they took off.
Right.
Where she said, "Go, but bring our son back."
bring our son back.
And one of the best moments I think JJ did with Rise of Skywalker, talking about Han, was bringing Harrison Ford back to do that moment when he says, your son is dead. No, Kylo Ren's dead. My son's right here.
Mhm.
That moment was perfect. A perfect writing for Ben, his redemption, but one to show the love of Han Solo that we've really won.
Yeah.
Like, that I actually love my son. It's not about me. It's about my son.
Yeah.
That same moment that he sacrificed, his sacrifice was full circle,
Mm-hmm.
essentially.
I got to be honest though, just I was thrown off that Rise of Skywalker didn't end with Kylo. Ben Skywalker. Like it didn't end with him being the Rise of Skywalker. I'm not going to get into the whole I am a Skywalker thing because that's a whole other show.
Oh,
but
God.
but like that kind of threw me off at the end because I kind of thought that was what it was geared towards.
So I'm gonna throw another question out there that could be controversial. Would you have preferred her to be Obi-Wan, the lineage of Obi-Wan, Rey to be the lineage of Luke, Rey to be nobody, or Rey to be the Palpatine? What angle or where do you guys fall
Okay,
in
now that I've seen Mandalorian, like I would have liked it to have been like something because she was so powerful right away without any training. Like it was just so also natural. Like she had like mixed DNA of like the best Jedi. I don't know, like maybe a little Obi-Wan, maybe a little Yoda, maybe a little Palpatine, because Palpatine was always trying to figure out how to stay alive. And I think we're going to get to a point where Grogu has
anyone read the Rise of Skywalker book? Read the book. I'm telling you right now, if there's any book you want to read Rise of Skywalker book, because one, Leia does way more in the book than you could ever believe. Like, oh my God. They give stuff you're like, I wish this could be on screen. it's so different. And 2, they explain that Palpatine's son is a clone that didn't work. So he has all the Force energy of the clone, and that's why she's essentially
it skipped a generation, basically.
Yes, basically that she is and they also go in more into the diadem of the Force. I don't know if you know this, and they've been doing it since the first one. That Rey's theme and Kylo Ren's theme are the exact same theme. They're just played backwards. If you play Kylo Ren's scene, it's dun 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 dun, and then Rey's is dun 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 dun. They're the exact. So I think that they've had the diadem of the Force thing kind of from the beginning, and that JJ took that. I'm sure John Williams told him, and JJ's like, I'm going to use that in the first film, and then, I don't know, the second film is.
What did you think about them like kissing and I guess falling in love at the last moment?
I will say my initial reaction is like, I spent 42 years for Romeo and Juliet. That was my initial reaction. Like, this essentially is the Montagues and the Capulets, and this is a Romeo and Juliet story. Like, that's what it is. So
oh man,
that's where I was at with it. I was not a big shipper. And I would go back. My answer was for that, as I actually thought she would be better off being nobody, because I like the idea of everybody, and I think they started that with The Force Awakens, with Finn kind of showing some Force sensitivity. I like the idea of people having Force sensitivity, and just some people have a lot more of it than others, but we all have that in us to try to bring that out of us.
If I wanted her to be anything else, I would have wanted her to be the daughter of Kenobi and chick from Mandalore.
Okay.
Satine, thank you.
All right, well, there you go. It started off a fuel controversy, and it ended up being like a really good ending to an understanding of Rise of Skywalker. We want to thank you for joining us. We're going to wrap it up here. We want to thank y'all for joining us on this random podcast to kind of fill in time. Anything else you want to talk to us to talk about, put it in the social media. We'll probably have some time to get to it at some point. Rule the Galaxy, they got a show coming up that they can be able to talk about some stuff. Be sure to tune in for that. They're very knowledgeable, obviously. So, yeah, great weekend here at ICCCon. Come to the podcast room, go to the main stage, come meet some amazing characters from Star Wars, some people who have changed the nature of Star Wars, writers, artists, actors, everything. This is the place to be. And not just for Star Wars, but for sci-fi as well. Anything you're wanting, it's here. Family-oriented. Please join us all weekend long, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we'll see you this weekend.
Stay collected.
Back at the ICCC 2022. This is an impromptu show. We got a special guest. I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself, brother.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Nick Shesky. I'm a part of the Rule the Galaxy podcast out of the Indianapolis area. Glad to be with you guys.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Okay,
yeah,
so
thanks.
There's a reason he's here. So we were having on their show earlier, they were talking about Attack of the Clones and how it was a very vital piece to the prequel trilogy. Am I right? Don't let me say anything wrong.
That's correct.
And the love story played an important part to this movie. And I was cringing and sitting back because Attack of the Clones was my least favorite. I'm not going to say I didn't like it because I love Star Wars. I love all Star Wars. You either take it or you don't. And that goes for any Star Wars, anything out there. If you hate it, I mean, that's really against what Star Wars is. Would you agree?
I completely agree.
So,
Yes.
like, you either take it or you don't. Like, if you want to only watch the original trilogy, just watch the original trilogy. Don't watch them all and then go and hate everything else about Star Wars and then just love that part. Be like, you know what? I didn't like it, but I'm glad you like it because, you know, we've had this conversation many times.
Many times.
That, you know, every generation has their Star Wars. And, you know, we obviously have, you know, we're a little bit younger, so the prequel trilogy is what we grew up on, but we started out with the original trilogy. And we got the privilege to watch the sequel trilogy.
Yes.
So we can nitpick at every little thing, but in the end, it's all Star Wars. But we're gonna concentrate on Attack of the Clones.
I love the but in there. Like, so it's great and we love each other and it's awesome.
But
strap your seatbelts on and get ready for the massacre. Of
Yes.
I'm about to cut you, bro.
Tuscans being slaughtered massacre.
yes,
About to cut you, bro.
it's all because
In your heart.
when I'm watching Star Wars, and I watch Attack of the Clones, every time I push play, I do the. All right, here we go. Because you know what? I don't skip it. I
Good
don't
for
skip
you.
it.
No.
Good for you.
No, I watch it.
I don't skip anything
No.
when it comes to, well, I might skip some of Book of Boba Fett.
I was gonna say. I heard you talked about that yesterday. Yeah.
No, that was Mandalorian Season 2.5. Is
2.5.
I heard that Boba Fett cameoed in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, he did. So, just to give a little bit background for people who are just now joining us, give a little bit background on your take on Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, so we talked about it earlier when we jumped on, but I was a child of the prequels. Saw Attack of the Clones actually more than any other movie in theaters. Dragged my dad back 5 or 6 times, went and saw it. Dragged my grandpa back to go see it with me. You know, my grandpa didn't know what Star Wars was or what was going on, but it was, you need to come see this with me. Saw it, and I made the point earlier that, we've joked about it on our podcast before. These guys were razzing on the love story, and I said, when I was, 9, however old I was when this was out, like that's what love was. Like I saw that and I was like, this is beautiful and this is awesome and this is exactly what it should be. And I love the original trilogy, and the original trilogy doesn't happen without this love story. So bring that on. And overall, we talked about it after the show. Yeah, there's some things that you could pick and you could nitpick for, but I think Attack of the Clones moves the story along. It's such a breakneck is the wrong word because it's almost a 3-hour movie, right? But it brings the story along and sets up the events of what some would say is one of the greatest Star Wars movies, Revenge of the Sith, and does the work and sets it up.
Wow.
Now, I see you seething over there as I say it, so I'm braced. I'm holding onto the table, but
My heart hurts for you right now.
bring it.
That's
So, all right, so-
your love story.
I think I am the neutral in this one. So, Micah, let's hear your take on
Okay.
Attack of the Clones.
You have notes?
No.
I thought you, like-
I'm
I
just
thought you
trying to
could slide
focus
down to the
here
point.
That's
instead
his
of giving
Ron
you my
Burgundy.
evil eye.
This is his Ron Burgundy. So
Yeah.
let's,
I'm trying to think about how I'm going to approach this.
I like this.
Attack of the Clones is a good movie the moment Mace Windu walks in and says this party is over. From that moment on, Attack of the Clones is a very, very good movie because it gives us 3 moments. 1, it gives us Mace Windu bad
Right.
version. 2, we get a Braveheart moment with lightsabers that nobody has ever seen before. And 3, we get Yoda fighting. I don't care how it is
Oh, yeah.
or what it is.
Yeah.
But
I'll give you that one. Yoda fighting.
It's awesome.
That
now
took my breath away.
I'm going to say this, and this is why I have a problem with Attack of the Clones love story. I've read the book. Have you read the book?
I have.
Okay. So in the book, the detail that they go into the love story with Anakin and Padme is more of a, trying to find the right word here, flirtatious.
Sure.
They flirt most of the time in the movie, and you can feel the tension.
Yeah.
There is none of that in the movie.
I get more of a.
It's more of a I'm gonna hound you until
who's
you
the
love me
character in Lord- No,
feeling in the.
who's-
I'm
Yeah,
just saying.
that's fair. I
I've
understand.
read the book, and in the book, like when they're on the ship and they try to do the no droids, and he tries to. It's like watching a bad guy try to flirt to the hottest chick in the room.
I say
It's
it's
just
more
bad.
like what's the Lord of the, Ashley help me. What's the Lord of the Rings character? My precious.
Oh, Gollum.
Gollum.
Yeah.
I get more of a Gollum feel, especially when like he's doing the whole like we talk about the heavy petting.
I won't do it, but
My
yeah, the moment of
precious.
like,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
so smooth, and you're like,
It's-
bro, you
it's-
get canceled for that today. Don't
Right.
be, yeah, don't be,
It's
don't be doing that. Yeah, don't be doing that.
But for me, in the book, that came out so much better, which is why I think in the movie the writing is piss poor. And I don't honestly think it's the acting. I think that love story fail is George Lucas's fault because during that movie, hey baby,
Hey, hi.
during that movie, George would be like, "That was great, cut," and they'd be like, "I feel like I can do this better." And George's like, "No, we got it, move, cut, print, check the gate, moving on."
Hold on, Ashley she's got to say something or she's gonna burst.
Yeah.
saw love as a girl, I saw it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It totally, that's exactly.
Right.
Interesting.
Like I
It's
just
ick.
I
Predatory. Thank you.
Wow.
That's
Okay,
what I was.
okay.
well,
my
and
brain
I
couldn't-
saw it more as a. Anybody watch Big Bang Theory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's all be honest. Leonard wore Penny down.
Yeah. He's persistent.
He was like, "You love me, you love me, you love me." She's like, "Damn it, you're just the best I'm gonna get. I love you." And then it turned in.
Leonard was there when no one else was.
I
Thank
understand
you.
that. No, I understand
Ashley
that.
and me are on the same. I wanted to be the opposition here, but I'm like, I am.
He
the
was
opposition.
and deserved, but Penny was not.
Penny
was
is the
not there.
emotionally damaged one, and
Correct.
Leonard's emotionally damaged, but Leonard was also self-sacrificing for Penny. But we're on Star Wars right now. Let's
I
get
was
back to
well,
Star
well,
Wars.
I told you. I told everyone who comes into this podcast room, we have this thing called rabbit holes, and we like to Alice in Wonderland that crap. I'm just letting you know. I'm just letting you know. But I was using that as an example. But in reading the book, I felt what I think you are talking about.
Yes.
Reading that book, I'm like, oh, it's a love from both ways, and I didn't see that in the movie. Even when they're like, our love would be forbidden, we could hide it.
Yeah. Okay, that's weird. I'll give you that. Like, and here's where I'll meet you in the middle, right? You said the part of, when Mace Windu comes in, the movie gets really good,
This party is over.
right? Say what you will, right? Hopeless romantic little kid, maybe whatever. Watching this movie, maybe it's a stage of life thing, maybe it's something like that. The moment where she says, "No, I really do love you," and they're in the whatever you call it, they're being towed out
Right,
into
right.
the arena, kind of thing, was a beautiful moment for me.
Oh.
Like I saw that and I went, and even in the book, I thought it was better than
Right.
what you're talking
And-
about.
Well, and I'm not taking away that moment.
Yeah.
Is a beautiful moment, but what leads up to that moment does not reflect on that moment.
Well, and let's be clear, like almost all of the Naboo scenes, like did not age well. You're right. I completely
No.
agree. Like did not age well. The weird monologues, we can't do this, and she's wearing full leather,
Right.
whatever, and it's just like, no, we can't. It's
S&M,
forbidden.
an S&M suit?
I'm just saying, hasn't aged well,
Yes.
and yet, leading towards some of where we would go, I think that movie teed off the Clone Wars, which we were just over in the Clone Wars
100%.
panel, and I look and go like, all of you are up here because of this.
Correct. Which I agree. The end of that movie, everything that brought it into the Clone Wars, even the stupid, she falls off the ship, and as the clone trooper walks up, she's like, no, we
Yeah.
got to,
Do your job.
Do your, we got to get there now. Like,
Why couldn't we have the last few seasons summed up to be Attack of the Clones, or the sequel? It didn't have to be Attack of the Clones because we knew there was a Clone War.
right.
So, you didn't have to really name it Attack of the Clones because it's established in the original trilogy that there was a Clone War. But, all right, so with the love story, my take is it started off normal. Because, it started off like he was in love with her. Like, it was a childhood love because, as soon as he saw her, it was like, I'm in love with her. If I see her again, I'm going to be really nervous. Like, I know I can relate to that. When you see someone you really like, you get really nervous. And then it became a little bit more obsessive. And then, like, the obsessiveness. What was that Mark Wahlberg movie? I think it was called Obsessed. In the 90s. Was it not
Cape
called
Fear.
Fear, yes.
Or Fear,
Joy.
yeah.
Joy on point.
Joy
called
with the
Fear.
wind. Let me see Fear.
Yeah. Where it starts off normal and then it just becomes more and more and more until he's like violent. And that's exactly what Anakin is. Just not towards, Padme in the end. But it started off normal, like when they're in the field together and it's just two friends hanging out. And then they're just joking with each other. And then it got a little bit playful. And then it came to the point where they were talking about sand. And then the touching. And then it was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And then it immediately went to the fireplace, which I hate that scene. That's like the most cringeworthy scene of all of Star Wars, in my opinion, is that entire scene. Because she looks uncomfortable. And he's trying to push himself onto her. And then it just ends. And then what I hate...
Bring it.
What I hate is when it comes down to them being thrown into the arena.
Yeah.
Then she falls in love with him. It's almost like Stockholm Syndrome. It's almost like, I've been with him so long, but now I'm about to die. This is as good as I'm going to get. Anakin, I love you. I love you so much. And if I'm going to die right now.
I don't think that's where it's not like
Well,
it's just like a switch is flipped. Like you're watching this, okay, so the fireplace scene that you hate, which I agree has some definitely cringy dialogue throughout. So dialogue aside, right? Some cringiness in there. There are moments there, and again, careful how I say this. There's moments there where it seems like she's like, yeah, but we couldn't do this.
Yeah.
So as opposed to, hey, stop it, get away, call somebody in the room. This is weird.
Right.
I don't know. Can I push on something real quick too? Since
Sure.
I
Go
know
ahead,
we're
man.
not just talking
Go
love
ahead.
story.
We got Tom.
We
You
got
said
plenty of
something
time.
of, once Mace Windu makes an entrance, then that movie gets awesome. I'm curious about all the scenes we get on Coruscant leading up to that point where Anakin's hopping out of the speeder and flying through. Amazing in my opinion. I think that was like when I was playing with action figures, I was imagining them free falling in every single thing that they did.
I could see that. I could see that.
Camino, where you get Jango Fett for the first time, and that
Good.
fight that they get up on there.
Very good.
I like
The first appearance we ever get of the seismic charges in the asteroid field,
amazing.
blowing up and exploding
Agree.
throughout there.
one of the greatest sounds.
Oh my!
In a theater history.
And then so then you hit Mandalorian Season 2, and how many of us collectively gasped when you saw the back of the Slave One? Boba Fett's starship.
No, you call it
Fire
Slave One.
spray.
Yeah, okay. Fire spray. Yeah.
Fire spray.
Open up and the seismic charge comes out and it blows up, kind of thing. There are so many little pieces throughout that movie
Yeah.
that I still look and go like, man, this is.
Yeah, I'm not. I
Yeah.
don't disagree with you. That movie set up so much for the future of Star
Right.
Wars.
Attack of the Clones has its moments, just like every Star Wars film does. But the Anakin Padme portion of the film is just wrong. It is not how it should have played out.
Like for me, when I watch it, it's like every point you point out is 100% on point. Like I love the chase scene. I even love how Anakin is trying to make himself be better than Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's just sitting back like, "You're not there yet, kid."
Yeah, right.
Like he's just like
That whole encounter at the beginning when they first
Yeah.
come back to meet Padme is like epitome of cringe.
yeah.
He's like, where's your Jedi? We can't do much. And he's like, we will find exactly who's trying to kill
Right.
you, and we'll do it tonight. Like, like that.
Yeah.
It's cringy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean-
but it's just the love part is just so uncomfortable for me that I almost can't enjoy the entire film. That's why when I push it, I'm like, because I don't like fast forwarding it. I like because it's made, it's there. George Lucas did it. I'm trying to appreciate it, and I will. But I get a little like, especially when it comes to the fire scene.
For me, the best scene between Anakin and Padme is after he comes back and his mom dies, and he says, "I killed them.
Yeah.
Killed them all, not just the women, but the children." And that.
All right, did you not like that part?
What do you mean?
No, I
That
love
part.
that part.
Oh, I think
was
that
gonna
part
say-
is dope.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry,
no,
I
no,
missed
no,
that.
no,
I
no.
was like, I
That
love-
part.
That's when I forgot about. Like, the Tusken. You talk about the development of Anakin Skywalker's character. You
That-
see he kills
well-
all these Tuskens, and Qui-Gon's talking over the top, and
Well, I don't know if you know this. That part when she comes and she lays down, that part was shot by the AD director. So he
Really? I
shot
didn't
it
know
with
that.
a different tone. So that part, I can believe that they're in love, that there's something there in that part. And again, reading the books, even that part in the books, I think he knew that this needed some form of tone, that it's not just, it's not just.
I need a female perspective.
we
on
do
that
need a female
scene.
perspective on this.
Ashley,
I
come
can-
up here.
I mean,
Ashley, come up here. Do you
No.
know what scene we're talking about?
I'll
when
remove
they
myself.
No, no, no.
You good.
Sit down. We'll grab another chair.
no, yeah,
Hand me up a chair. We can split this mic.
I'm fine. Look. Hi.
yeah. So
Yeah, I don't.
on that
can-
scene with
right.
the
Oh my God! Please don't die.
Hold on. Let me just pick this up and move it around for a second.
where Anakin
Into the
killed all
mics.
Tusken Raiders.
Yeah.
When he came back and
Doot,
told
doot.
Padme, being the female on the female perspective, how would you have taken that if the person that could potentially be the love of your life just told you that he just
Talk-
murdered an entire tribe?
Talk in the mic.
Well.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, she's known Annie since he was Annie.
Ooh, Annie.
This is Annie.
Little
She
little
knew his
orphan Annie.
mama. I mean, his mom served her dinner and protected her and gave her hospitality. So I mean, I think that broke Padme a lot. queen. I'm not, you know what I mean? And I said, I do, but that's just, you know, one thing. But that trauma, that's probably also like a trauma bond moment for them.
Okay. Yeah.
So like
I think
probably,
you're right.
you know, trauma bonded them and oh, you're broken. Let me fix you.
Right.
Type situation.
I didn't think. Yeah.
Because she's been protective of him
Yeah,
since
she's
they
like-
left Tatooine, right?
Yeah,
like
she promised
on
to
the Star
protect him.
Cruiser when you're
I promise
cold.
we'll
Come on here.
protect you, Annie.
That's it. Yeah.
Space
So
is
there's
cool. I
some
mean, you
there's
know
some
what I mean? Like,
dynamics in
she
this that are
literally
not.
Took him on his first trip out into space. She's
Yeah.
like, space is cool. Yeah, there's some, and that's why you're like, it started off normal. Did it? I beg to.
Right.
She could see his not infatuation with her, and she like leaned into it. That's not normal.
Okay.
That's not healthy.
Are
I
there
know-
relationships in Star Wars though that are healthy?
No, well, I mean, no. And,
For the
and
most part?
I understand that they have to. Have
Owen
a
and
relationship.
Baru?
I know.
Yeah.
I know that this has to happen
Dead.
for
Dead.
everything else to happen. But should it?
Yes.
Should it? I mean, like this
Well,
is still a
technically, no.
made-up story that
Yeah.
somebody chose to write. Should we, you know, back it fully? No, you know, probably.
Let me ask you this: could this relationship have been another relation or a relationship manipulated by Emperor Palpatine?
Oh, I think it. I don't know if it started that way. I think it ended that way.
Because if you go to the comic books or the books, you know, we all know that Emperor Palpatine, you know, helped create.
Well,
so
Actually, that's a myth. It's in the book, but the writer.
all right, but if you look at the comic book,
Yeah.
I know.
And he's like
no,
over
no,
the
no,
top
no.
of her.
You,
Yeah.
I understand, but the writer.
What was that one more time?
like, watch.
The writer came out and said that was a test for Vader from Palpatine, and that all that wasn't real.
I don't know, man. I think it gives a look. But all right, because
Oh, God, I
like
feel
he
like-
has a lot of like
No.
future sight, so and he has to be in control of everything. I really think that's how he became in control of every piece of the Senate. So like because nobody, like even the Jedi, they were like something's happening here, and the dark side is clouding everything. And I can't even see it. And we have a Sith right here in front of us being our friend, and we can't see it. So he is a master manipulator.
Oh,
So
100%.
I'm not saying this is what happened, but to make this make more sense, if there was a little more storyline that he could have seen that these two would have created another a backup, like Luke. This could have, in case Anakin fails, because he can sense that because of Padme. You know what I'm saying? Like because Padme is bringing some. Hold on, let me get my.
No. Get it out. Get it out.
Padme has some weakness in Anakin because Anakin has a lot of love for Padme. So there is still love in there, but to be a full Sith, you can't have that in there. So if he sensed this, maybe he needed a backup. So maybe there was some. I'm not saying that that is the story. I'm saying this could be a possible backstory to. He could have manipulated this to create a backup because he's all about backup plans. We see this in Rise of Skywalker. This dude was figuring out how he can survive and
Oh, the
continue.
Emperor
Operation
always
Cinder.
said-
Yeah. So, you know, Padme could have created a backup plan for him and have been a little manipulation to make all those cringeworthy scenes make more sense.
Yeah, I think you're reaching. No, I mean,
Why
I
not,
think you're
though?
reaching.
Why not? That's just. But I'm
Because
just saying
it's-
that's
I like it.
storyline that
Because
just
it's a
wasn't.
simpler explanation to say they're cringy and it is what it is. But because of their cringiness, now we have the rest of the. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I
it's-
guarantee you, if you took, like, if there had been a film crew that was following me and my wife when we first started dating, there would be stuff that y'all would be like, that was cringy. Why did he?
Yeah.
so there's-
Y'all are
I mean,
awkward.
there's-
Why are you saying that?
there's
Like, why?
cringy
Yeah.
Awkward.
Yeah. Like, my wife and I, we got in a fight the very first, like, a month into dating. She was like, what? I got up to go to the bathroom. She's like, what, are you leaving? I was like, no, I'm going to freaking marry you someday. Get over yourself. And, like, walked out of the room. And I was like, what did I just say? Like,
Okay,
what just
no.
happened?
That could
She was
play
like,
off
what
in a
did he just
romantic
say?
comedy has been like, oh my gosh, did you? There's like cringy awkward.
Yeah.
There's like cringy foot in the mouth. There's like
Yeah, that's
Harry
fair.
Met Sally cringy.
Yeah.
This is ick. This is
This is another level of.
All right.
like,
Yeah.
This is.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
Like,
whoa!
sand is. Of course, it gets placed. I just can't.
You know where sand goes? Yeah.
All right. All right, we're gonna bring it to a close now. We've seen 4 different perspectives on this one love story. Brother, thank you so much.
Man, thanks for letting me jump back up here.
Follow
Rule of the Galaxy.
Rule of the Galaxy. They have a room in the podcast room. They were on here. We're probably going to grab y'all again if we have some free time and talk about something else that's cringeworthy. And
We'll just take love stories and fuel off the table.
We've talked enough about the fuel.
Fuel, love stories between Anakin.
What fuels a love story in Star Wars? How do you do it?
That's a rated R show, and we'll
Love
keep
is
it
a
PG.
battlefield.
But thank y'all so much for joining us. There's more shows to come, so please stay tuned. We are at ICCCon 2022. Thank you so much. We'll see you.
Hey, Star Wars fans and fans of the ICCCon in Nashville. It's the Rule of the Galaxy crew back again, right?
Back again. Check his rec and let's begin.
Wow. I did not know that was going to come out.
Party on, party people. Let me hear some noise. DC's in the house. Jump for joy.
Derail. Is Steve Gloss in here? So we're back.
Handshake it
We've been
down.
hopping in and out of the live podcast area all day, all weekend, really.
Yeah.
And as a special guest for us tonight, we've got Flynn Hendrix, who's been on earlier.
Hey now.
Flynn is promoting his I Know You Can Hear Me podcast. We're not really promoting anything. We're just guys who like to talk about Star Wars. And we've got a podcast, Rule of the Galaxy. Always follow us on Twitter at Rule of the Galaxy SW. So I'm going to throw this out to Flynn to start real quick. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, there's a belt sitting here on this table.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I need to know more about this belt. So could you hit me?
Hey, don't you bring that F word in here. Don't you put that hate on me.
It's a 4-letter F word.
The Macho Man says it's not fake because the cream rises to the top. Oh, yeah! Bone saw's ready on this stage. Yeah!
Bone saw!
But no,
Yeah, you little spider freak.
Oh, it is a free-for-all. It is a free-for-all on the podcast
that
stage tonight.
it is. But let me
that
tell
bell.
you about this
Let's
real
go.
quick. This is actually one of the longest reigning or most active titles in the state of Kentucky. It's been active for over 25 years for UCW, which is Ultimate Championship Wrestling. This is the Southern States Championship, which I am proud to hold and represent. And I'll actually be defending and taking this title into defense against the UCW Ultimate Heavyweight Champion this summer across the fair tour of Southern Kentucky and Northern Tennessee. So if you're in the area, get connected with me on social media. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Go to linktree.com or linktree/TheFlynnHendrix for all my socials. Keep up with my dates. Come see me defend it. Come see me unify this with the Ultimate Heavyweight Championship and become the ultimate champion of the longest running promotion in the state of Kentucky.
Okay, so as you know, we talk a lot of Star Wars here.
Yes.
You're talking some wrestling stuff. What did you feel or have you thought about the Mandalorian season where they had the Gamorrean guards battling in basically a wrestling ring
Let me put it this way. If they ever cast for Ewok wrestling, I would gladly throw my name in the hat. Okay? I would do it.
Since you brought up the Ewok wrestling, I'm going to have to ask, because you said you're going to go up against the super heavyweight champion.
Yes.
Right? Is there a little bit of a mismatch coming on? Because when you say super heavyweight champion and you're calling yourself an Ewok, I'm thinking somebody my size who you're going to be wrestling.
Let me put it this way. I outthink and I outsmart a lot of people. So if the referee forgets to check me and something comes into play to help me win, I'm not going to say that size really matters at that point. So
Like a lightsaber?
Lightsaber, I've had Star Wars themed gear too. So
Nice.
huge fan of the Empire and the dark side of things. So 100%. And as I was telling Ashley and David Eckstein over in the room, the Tano track jacket, it's close enough to my brand colors. I use blue and orange, blue and yellow. I rock that to the ring, so.
Okay, then this is freaking me out. The same jacket you're talking about, I have.
Yes.
And you're right now wearing the R2-D2 Adidas running shoes.
Absolutely.
Which I have as well. So we're like kindred spirits right here. Never
My
met
man.
before.
Now, if only I could get the R2 watch they got out there on the sales floor, I'd be rocking the whole shebang.
Sounds like you should start wrestling, Joe.
I'm in the market for a new manager.
Wow.
This is your
Careful
hype
what you
man.
ask for.
I'll be
Careful
a hype
what you
man.
ask for.
Oh, I will be a hype man.
This
I
is
do
the
travel, so
mouth-
let's make it work.
This is the mouth from the south. He's
This
not
is
gonna
why
go,
we came here.
Absolutely.
This is it.
He's not going to go Undertaker.
No.
Oh,
That's not him.
Now
He's
wait.
the mouth from the south.
That's
Yes.
you.
I know.
Okay, okay.
That's why I was doing it.
We're going to backtrack here because I know about this much about wrestling. Alfie, you were telling me the reason you got into wrestling is why? You after Monday Night Football. After Monday Night Football, man, deer in the headlights.
Tried to set you up.
You tried, but
Segue.
I wasn't following the segue there. Yeah, we got into wrestling in college big time because, you know, you want to keep that Monday night drinking going. And once football was over, we had to find something else. And Monday Night Raw, there it was.
There you go.
Hook, line, and sinker.
And let me tell you, when old Stone Cold gets on TV, you know we're gonna crack open a few Steve Weiser. What?
Wow. I mean,
the glass shattering. The glass shattering when he comes
It's iconic. It's iconic.
I get pumped when I hear it.
how we are merging the Star Wars and the wrestling right now is amazing. It's just like going ebb and flow right here.
Let me put you guys on the spot right
Yeah.
here. You mentioned the Gamorrean wrestling in season 2 of The Mandalorian. What characters from the Star Wars universe do you guys think would have fit in the wrestling world?
Twi'leks.
Can
Male
I get
Twi'leks or female
Can I get a
Twi'leks?
little bit more of a? Can you
Female.
describe that?
Well, I mean, female
Female
Twi'leks would do well. And I mean, they would draw
dancers.
a lot of viewers.
Very true. And certain matches that are long gone from a bygone era. You know, no disrespect intended, but you know.
I'm gonna say Wookiees. I'm gonna say Wookiees would be a perfect fit for the wrestling. I mean, we saw that in Solo.
Yeah.
With Solo and Chewbacca down in the pit, the mud pit.
I would love to see Chewbacca and Andre the Giant, but that's just me.
Oh, yeah.
That's not a contest. Chewbacca would.
I mean, yeah, Andre's going to come out without an arm, but he's still going to ask if anybody wants a peanut, so we all win.
Okay.
So
Star Wars characters in
What about-
wrestling for you guys.
What about robot wrestling? Is that a thing?
Well, we
Robots
saw
in
that.
wrestling?
We
Have
saw
you
that
seen
in
some
Solo as
wrestlers
well.
in the ring? They
That's what I'm
actually
saying.
look like robots.
So
yes.
like, IG-88 could be a
he
part of
could
it?
broke
IG-11.
That's what
Yeah.
you think until
IG
you're dead.
IG is a stick. He doesn't have like
Okay.
His,
What about what's the droids
Okay.
from Rogue One? You know what I'm talking about? The
Oh,
one that's
K2SO.
K2SO. Yeah.
He chokeslammed. He chokeslammed.
Yeah,
the
he
woman.
was wrestling. Yeah.
he Jen or Cassian too. One of them like
Yeah,
Yeah,
give him a
Jen,
little
he
slap.
backhanded, close
I'm
enough to a
talking
chop.
robot.
Okay,
battles.
you're gonna know
Not
this
robot
answer.
wrestling, yeah.
With Dr. Afra's assassin droid.
Triple zero.
Triple zero.
Triple zero.
Triple zero would make a great wrestler.
Yes, he's so sadistic. He can be so conniving, but he can be so charming at the same time until he flips that switch. Great answer.
Thank you.
You said Wookiees already, but Carstanson.
Oh yeah.
Could
Black
be.
Carstanton?
but he was.
I think he was. Yeah,
that's
that's
Exactly
that
what
was
I'm
his job
saying. He
was.
asked
Right.
the question, why would who would fit
I
in
will
the-
say I may or may not have taken a page out of Chrysanthemum's playbook to retain this title a time or two, but you know, that's neither here nor there.
Right.
Okay, so we already know, like, we've seen some arenas in Star Wars. Obviously, the Mandalorian was a small little arena, like it was, a throw it in your backyard kind of wrestling match.
Yep.
But Geonosis, the arena, how about the pod racing course?
Oh,
making
Is that even an arena?
well, but just all
one?
those that crowd right there.
Yes,
I mean,
it is
let's
an
face it.
arena.
In Star Wars Visions, they did a rock concert.
okay,
there.
you were gonna go there with it, but like it's not even really like
There's seats. You sit and
for
you
one
watch.
turn. For one turn.
I mean,
it's like
one
it's
turn
like
at
going
the
to watch
track.
Talladega, and you're only gonna be sitting on the
They've
the
done
high
wrestling.
bank of-
They've done wrestling there. So.
And they've got the announcers with
okay,
the
fine.
ooh ah.
Lawyer. Yeah.
What about the Senate chamber? With
Yes.
all the pods?
Book me
Great
there.
idea.
Book me there.
Senate chamber would be great, and we've seen a little bit of that between Palpatine and Yoda. I mean, it was almost an all-out wrestle right there.
The cool thing about the Senate chamber is then I would be able to take my pod and float around and get close.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Because like you're floating around in the pods, I'd be able to like hover around and
I
see,
mean,
see it from a different angle.
Who knows? You might even be in the pod next to the ET race. So
Correct.
bring the best of all worlds
Exactly.
together right there.
Exactly.
You could take your little pod and get snacks too,
Yes.
or cold drinks.
Right. You gotta make sure because you gotta make
keep
sure
the
we keep that
drinking
going.
going.
Right. You gotta stay hydrated.
I'm feeling you're on a roll with the cold drinks, Alfie. I mean,
It's been a theme of the weekend.
yes, it has. Does everybody else like Alfie's Boba Fett yellow shirt right here? Okay.
That's Five Below.
Five Below. I mean, come on. Five Below always has great Star Wars T-shirts. That needs to be marketed more, right? I mean, it's hard to find good Star Wars stuff a lot of times out in the real world, not here. At ICCCon, you can find anything, but Five Below does a great job.
You should talk about your shirt.
Yeah, this is from Obvious Shirts. Just right here, a little Falcon outline by Obvious Shirts, if anybody's watching. Yeah, it's a good little line they've got going on there.
Let's go ahead and give the full plug.
Yeah.
Let's
It's
go
plug
go
away.
give more details.
It's
Give more
the
details,
It's a
please.
Joey Molinaro line, not me, my son. Joey Molinaro has a line, Obvious Shirts. You can get the Falcon right there. So Five Below, Obvious Shirts, good Star Wars shirts. Where else are we going? We've talked Adidas, we've talked belts, we've talked wrestling. Bring something. Bring the heat.
So I'm going to ask you a question. It's a
Fire
question.
away.
It is a question that we bring up on our podcast all the time. It's
Yes,
near and
please.
dear to my heart. I'm going to give you the
yeah.
background on the.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
So you understand where we're coming from.
Jim knows where you're going on this.
He should. So back in the day, one of the first podcasts we've had, I wasn't on it. So they were all talking about Count Dooku and in I think it's
Count.
Did I say count?
You kind of
Count-
shorten that word.
Count Dooku.
He went with the fancy
Count.
dialect
Okay,
on that one.
Count Dooku. So they're talking about Dooku and on episode 3, and they were kind of making fun of him and calling him Stumpy because he gets his arms chopped off and then they lop his head off.
It's only a flesh wound.
And then they were talking about going into like Galaxy's Edge and looking at this lightsaber hilts. And they said, who would want to go get Count Dooku's lightsaber hilt? So that brought it up. The next time I got on, I had to defend my man, Count Dooku. I love Count Dooku. I love his hilt because he's got that regal style, that little curve, that he's got that elegant stance. Like it fits his character. Which brings me to the question that I'm going to ask you. Is there a specific lightsaber hilt in the universe that you feel it would fit you or that you are drawn to that you like?
You've already sung the praises of my favorite hilt in the entire series, and that is Count
So
Dooku.
it is a Dooku
That
hilt.
is Count Dooku.
Okay,
And
that's
I mean,
awesome.
I love the design. I love the curve. I love the elegance. I love the character. I love everything about him. I love the actor that played him.
Oh, Christopher
and
Lee.
Just in the fact that we got more expansion on him in the Clone Wars to see more of his backstory, more of the conniving side than the book where you find out how he got to the Jedi. Just everything about him, like, and that saber is so different compared to everything else you get. It's so elegant and like I know Asajj Ventress had the dual,
Similar, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
but his looks so much better than hers because hers is like a bunch of Legos stuck together. But his is just so elegant. So I mean, that's my saber to a T.
Now I'm going to ask the next question. Have you been walking around? Did you see the cosplay Count Dooku that's here?
I did.
He's
I
well
a
done.
beautiful saber too.
He does, but
and he looks just like Count Dooku.
I was disappointed that he didn't go full on and come with no hands. But you know, what can you do?
Selfish.
So I can say this for our Rule of the Galaxy followers. Our next T-shirt, we're talking about it, is going to be Count Dooku's saber inside of our logo. Nick and Brent are wearing our logo right there. The saber right in the middle of that has to be because that's what we talk about. Like almost every other show is the Count Dooku's.
Well, because
hilt
somebody's coming
and
on.
lightsaber.
Somebody's coming on as a guest star. So
I will get one of those shirts and I will gladly wear it to the ring.
Oh.
I will plug you guys everywhere I go.
Oh, there we go. Challenge played
Yeah, so
right
we-
there.
got to get obvious shirts onto it. See if we can get obvious.
Yeah,
shirts.
hobby shirts. Save me some money.
About the Dooku saber.
Sure.
Where did it go after Revenge of the Sith?
Oh.
Is it still in existence somewhere out there? Because Anakin picks it up and uses it.
Oh, that's right.
That was one of the ones that he used
Yes,
to slice
but-
the head off, right?
Does he not throw it down and just leave it on the ship after that to go and check on Obi-Wan after he frees the Chancellor? I think he throws it down.
Luke throws his lightsaber down and somehow has it again.
This is true.
And Yoda, we don't like. Let's talk about Yoda's lightsaber too. Like, we don't know if he still had it in the. There's been shot by shot breakdown of whether or not he left the Senate chamber with his lightsaber, but then we see it being offered to Grogu.
And I know, for that one, you know, Luke
So-
goes on his quest to find all these artifacts. So maybe the Emperor had the clones pick it up that were scouring the chamber. But
We're going deep.
you know, for that one, I don't know because you never see it again. But I love the fact that I would love the backstory that he kept it, you know, as a memento too. Because again, best lightsaber in the entire franchise. Fight me.
I don't think he would have kept it. The only reason I think he wouldn't have kept it is because there was some shame attached to it.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have killed him.
Very
So throwing
true.
it on, down on the ground actually might, because it's one of those like, I'm really glad Obi-Wan Kenobi was passed out.
But here's
Yeah.
the thing:
Do it.
Yeah.
would Palpatine have picked it up while Anakin was checking on Obi-Wan?
He was on to the next one.
Very true.
So go ahead, Alfie.
Was it still on the ship?
That's a fair question. You mean like when it crashed?
When it crashes?
It breaks in half.
Yeah.
Right.
Remember?
So the only
it
thing
could
that
have
crashes,
That's true.
the
It
only
would have
thing
been
that
on the
crashes is
back
the
end of the
bridge.
ship.
The only thing that crashes is the bridge, so the ship burns up in the atmosphere.
Do you guys realize how much time this weekend we've spent talking about the prequels? I mean, we're kind of older guys, except for you. You're a youngster. But the prequels keep coming up. And I think it goes back to the depth that you're talking about with the books, the Clone Wars. Count Dooku to me, in the short time he was in there, was not built on enough.
Right.
But then the books and the Clone Wars made it to where Count Dooku became a more important, valuable character.
He made Qui-Gon a more important character too, because we understand where his mentality and his mindset and his view of the entire Jedi Order comes from.
I would say that I'm not a book reader. Like I always joke, if you heard of me earlier, I call it going to the dark side by diving into the books. Because like there's so much more detail in there, and it does change your perception of the Star Wars world, right? We're all influenced, and my Star Wars is different from your Star Wars because I've been exposed and I've chosen to expose myself to different things.
Absolutely.
But 2 of the books that I have read, Master and Apprentice, which is really good, which goes into the Qui-Gon Jinn, but in the Qui-Gon story, they do talk about Count Dooku and his influence. And the other one would be Plagueis, which also goes into the book should really be called Darth Sidious. It shouldn't be called Plagueis, because 2/3 of the book is really about Palpatine, about our man Sheev. So those 2 books do a lot to give Dooku a background.
And you actually opened the door to a question that I was going to ask about y'all's thoughts on the novel Plagueis, where it's gone in and out of canon, legends, canon, legends, canon. But, I mean, like you said, it gives us more depth to the Emperor. He was a bratty, spoiled, entitled kid. He even killed people when he was just driving his speeder. Where is that in the movies? Because you see him as the friendly grandfather that becomes the puppet master.
He's become calculated.
Yeah, and then he gets referenced in Episode 9 in the novelization. But, he references Plagueis. But what are y'all's thoughts on having a character like that and getting the backstory and finding out that it's still in process during the events of The Phantom Menace?
Yeah, you know what? Ian McDermott was on the stage over here today when he did it, and somebody actually asked him that question. They said, would you like to explore the depth of, Palpatine? And he said, yes, I would love to do that, but we would need a younger actor to come back and play me, and I would be all about it if they went and did it, to which I'm sitting there just...
And those rumors ran rampant 3 years ago before Rise of Skywalker came out with the clones. Yeah, the Matt Smith rumor and everything. And I'd be all for it.
So I will go, and this may be a hot take version, I will go with my headcanon after watching Attack of the Clones. When I heard the opera scene and I heard Palpatine talking about Darth Plagueis, my headcanon at the time, and it was that way until I read Plagueis, was that Darth Plagueis was somebody that was back in Bane's time. Like we're talking not Bane,
Revan?
Bane Revan. We're talking Old Republic. I was thinking it was like some ancient Sith that he had just discovered. I knew he was a Sith, but somebody that he had just discovered. And then the book comes out and they're like, no, it's his master. So my headcanon was having a hard time grasping the fact that it was his immediate mentor versus somebody who I was thinking like this is somebody way back in the back.
Very fair.
Yep.
I enjoy that. Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, we brought our headcanon to this today. We can't thank Jim and Matt and the ECPCTV staff here at ICCCon in Nashville. Rule of the Galaxy has loved every minute of it. It was great to meet you, Flynn.
Same to you guys.
I will be your hype man.
Absolutely.
I will be that. You can count on it, and we'll get you a shirt so you can wear it to the ring.
I'll get you guys one of mine. And make sure if you're in the area, check out the UCW Fair Tour at the start of July. It's going all month. I'm going to be defending the Southern States title and competing for the Ultimate Heavyweight Championship. I want to have this guy in my corner hyping me up as I go. Check out the Rule of the Galaxy podcast and the I Know You Hear Me podcast. And I know you hear us.